What is up, everybody? It's Project Storm, and I'm live right now at 4K 60 FPS. I'm going to be streaming this game today, Gears 5, at 4K 120 FPS because that's what GeForce Now Max is at. But not to confuse you all, I will be playing in game at what you see here. That's 5K, all right, 5120 by 2880, and that's just to push the performance a little bit higher. Now, I could go up to 8K if I wanted to, but I'm not going to do that, all right? Because, again, I'm not trying to confuse anybody and make people think that GeForce Now has upgraded to 8K or 5K capabilities. That's not the point. Now, everything right here is pretty much maxed out, you all. One thing you know about me, if the game can handle it, if GeForce Now can handle it, I'm going to push it to the limit. Windstar is in the building. What is going on, brother? It's good to see you around, man. Hopefully all is going good. I knew you were going to come and check this out as soon as you saw the title, bro. But right now, you know, everything is pretty much ultra, even best animation quality. If things can go insane, I'm putting in at insane. If it could go, you know, ambient occlusion right here is 15, you all. Contact shadows on, everything that I could turn up. If I'm forgetting something, let me know, and I will jack it up. Even particle spawn rate, 15. All right, now bloom style can go to anamorphic, but if you read the description, it doesn't say. It says standard bloom spreads equally in all directions. Anamorphic bloom is stretched out on the sides. Stretched out on the side, I don't know how that sounds, right? I don't know if that sounds right. So we're going to leave everything as is. Depth of field is always going to be off because of that extra clarity you get in the backgrounds. Motion blur makes me sick. It's going to be off. All right. I also turned off camera shake because that can make certain people sick as well, especially on this level that you're about to see. So right here, GPU is the NVIDIA GeForce RTX 4080. You're going to get what you pay for if you sign up for the ultimate tier, you all. Async compute, all that good stuff is on. Everything is maxed out, all right? So here we go. This is where I left off. Now, I do want to show you all something real quick, though, before I jump in, because if you had issues yesterday, this was likely why. This right here is status.geforcenow.com, and it gives you an updated message anytime something's going on with the GeForce Now service, y'all. So right now it says GeForce Now 1 month premium membership sold out in Europe. All right. Incident report for NVIDIA GeForce Now. So yesterday there was a problem getting into games. I think there was a global outage. In fact, there was a global outage, and I was affected by it when I was trying to launch a lot of different games. All right. But I hit up the GeForce Now team. As an ambassador, that's what we do. We like to listen to feedback, bring it to the team. So if you have any questions or concerns at any time, you all let me know. I might be able to help. Now, some things I can't help you with, like certain games come to GeForce Now, but I will be able to send a direct message to the I don't even have a word. Extraordinary doesn't really fit, but the team at GeForce Now has been instrumental at my enjoyment of the service. All right. Now, this is what I will say. It says, due to increased demand, GeForce Now 1 month premium memberships are currently sold out in Europe. Join the wait list at www.geforcenow.com to have first access when they're available. To help with capacity, now some people might look at this as a bad thing. I look at it as a good thing. As you can hear it, I'm smiling right now because it just means that more people are listening to whoever they're listening to when it comes to GeForce Now, man. This is a great way to play games. Forget what you think about the cloud. If you hate cloud gaming, whatever the case is. If you haven't tried it, try it whenever you can. I'm telling you right now, you might be amazed. It could be the most convenient way to play your games. Free membership signups have also been paused, right? It says this does not impact current members. Limited 6-month premium memberships are still available. So jump on that, you all. Get out here, try priority. If you can, jump up to ultimate. You might not regret it. All right. So we're going to jump back into the gameplay. Or jump into the gameplay for the first time, but not before I check out what Windstar has to say. He says, I noticed that too when he was trying to test GFN on ROG Ally. Just picked one up yesterday, man. Congrats on that. I hear that the Lenovo, whatever it's called, is out as well. And people are loving that device, man. I'm glad you got your hands on it. Wasn't working, but it's all good. It said, hey, let me tell you how quick the team got on it, though. I know I sent the message, right? I sent the message. And I'm telling you right now, within, I'm going to definitely say within a half an hour, I played one game of Madden, made a guy quit. And next thing you know, I was back on GeForce Now. I said, now, a global outage, do you know how people have to scramble to get that, any service back up and running after a global outage, y'all? Craziness, man. Kudos to the GeForce Now team. I can't speak highly enough of what they do over there, y'all. Onboarding these games, listening to the complaints of the gamers, listening to the positive feedback as well, man. Dealing with the ambassadors, and we are a fun group. You know what I mean? GeForce Now ambassadors are a fun group, but man, y'all know me. I'm always trying to keep it as real as possible out here for you all. If you have any questions, if you come across these videos, shoot me a comment. If you need help with anything, I'll try my best. That's for sure.
What do you think?
Now, Winstar, let me know, man. How does everything sound? Because I'm going to be talking over gameplay, and if I need to lower the gameplay volume just a smidge or whatever, let me know, man, because I know you're the right person for that job. But right now, this is 5K. If you want to know what 4K looks like, I have your back. Here we go. Let's go to 4K real quick. And this is what my streams are all about, man. My streams are about doing things that some people just don't do, haven't thought about yet, didn't know was possible. Things like that. All right, so here's 4K. Let's make sure it saves. Here we go. Boom. Check out the performance down bottom, jumped up to like 100, over 100 FPS. Bottom left, the far left corner is the FPS in game. The middle box or section is the stream that's being delivered from GeForce Now. And I still haven't figured out how the hell they do that. Like, what are they using? Are they using an NVLink? What are they using in the data centers to always deliver a constant 120 hertz stream or FPS? And it feels that way, you all. It feels that way. And in this PC, in case you don't know me, I have an RTX 4090 in this PC that I'm using to stream on. I'm also streaming this with the AV1 encoder. Let's see what Winstar said about the sound. Let me see. The mic volume is a bit lower. I can hear feedback in the background. Yeah, the reason you can hear feedback is because I'm listening to myself talk on my other display, and I don't have NVIDIA Broadcast active right now. Unfortunately, I was having some static issues, so I just turned myself down. I forgot to do that, man. You know, I get hype out here and I forget to breathe sometimes. But what I don't forget to do is drink some water, stay hydrated and eat. I don't forget to do that and take breaks. But I appreciate you, bro. All right, so let's go back to 5K because I put it in the title, and we're going to rock out. See how the game performs in game at 5K. Again, GeForce Now is not streaming at 5K yet, but I'm sure there's a future where that might be a possibility, knowing how NVIDIA rocks out with their technology, y'all. Now, back to 5K. I'm going to save that. And here we go. Now, I am playing this on an 8K display, 82-inch 8K display. And speaking of that, I have a drum roll announcement to make because I've cried about it. I've complained about this. Let me turn my game sound down a little bit too, because I'm playing with no headset on. I'm playing with my surround sound, man. I have like, I don't know how many thousands of watts of power in this room right now that's being pumped through Paradigm speakers, y'all. It's crazy out here. So, but I read that, you know, while recapping the official GeForce Now blog, I read that Samsung, the 2020 models of Samsung displays are going to be getting the native GeForce Now app. Now, I know that's a nothing burger to some people, especially those of you who don't have Samsung displays. But for me, that's big because that's yet another way that I can experience GeForce Now. You know what I mean? So I'm glad that they thought about us 2020 model owners. Okay, let's go on here.
Come on, this way.
Now, this is the furthest I've made it in this game. I haven't finished Gears 5 because there's so many games out. Unfortunately, there's just so many games that I really don't finish anything these days. But I'm going to be changing that, starting with this game right here. I have to finish this game.
Get back!
All right.
I'm beginning to see why no one lives up here anymore.
All right. Let me know if you can still hear that echo, bro, or any type of echo. And every time, you know, for anybody that don't know, when you come across this channel, man, I'm always going to be in testing phase because I'm always trying to do different things. Look at the snow, by the way. Like a beautiful snow pretzel or flower or something like that. Crazy. All right. I'm using a mouse and keyboard right now, but I can easily, I have the Elite 2 controller right here that I use for Xbox Series X and PC. And I just switched over to that. As you can tell when I do this move right here with the thumbstick. You know, that's thumbstick movement right there. You know what I mean? Like the slow pan, cinematic pan or whatever that I like to do in my games, you know, that you can't do with a mouse. Check that out right there. Nobody on earth can do this with a mouse. Nobody. All right. So now I'm playing with controller. We're going to keep on playing with controller for a little bit until I feel like I need to switch over to the keyboard and mouse.
Dell, come on.
All right. Says, did you finish Plague Tale? Man, that's another one. Hold on, bro. They're trying to pull up on me. Hold on. That's another one that I must finish. Absolutely. Okay. Ho, ho, ho. I dropped my big gun, man. Where's that coming from? Okay. Oh my gosh. Oh gosh, get out of there. Get out of there. 5K, y'all, in game. You know what I mean? That's the power of the RTX 4080 Super Pods right there. 4K is advertised at 120, at 60 as well, right? Of course. 1080p, 240 FPS as well. But I'm out here playing in game at 5K. And I may do 8K, knowing me. All right, so now it doesn't guarantee that you're gonna get a higher fidelity or anything like that. You know what I mean? There's no false advertising or anything like that going on here. This right here is just to show you that, hey, on certain games, if the option is available, I'm going to experiment with these higher settings. That's all it is. All right. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and melt him real quick. If he's gonna stand there and let me do it, I like it. I like it. I know some people are like, where's the recoil? Well, one thing we know is that I can't cheat on GeForce Now, that's for sure. But it's just a known, I don't know if it's a bug or whatever, but if you change a certain setting, like camera shake or something like that, I forgot what I did now, y'all, but it reduces the effect of camera shake or whatever, or recoil, and I'm not complaining about it, believe me. Okay, boom shot. Nah, even though I like saying boom, I'm not gonna pick it up right now. Damn, this looks fire, he says, man. My boy Winstar comes through, man. Hey, yo, back to that Plague Tale, though. Plague Tale Innocence, I finished that one, of course, as you know. But Requiem, I have not finished it, but you just made me want to go back because I'm halfway through that game. For sure.
Maybe they're
and it's beautiful.
All
right.
Find a way out of here.
And what's crazy is about this stream right here is that I think I can increase the bit rate more with AV1. I have it on like, let me see real quick. I'll show you all. You know, I like to show these things. Using OBS, as you can see right here. We're going to go to settings real fast. And we're going to go to stream. You have to have it set to this RTMPS. And then, oh, I'm not even using AV1 and it's still coming out like this. I forgot to switch it, you all. I forgot to switch it, but it's still NVIDIA NVENC H.264. That's crazy and funny at the same time, because I'm up here thinking like, okay, but I knew I had the other settings, as you see right here. No wonder it was looking like, so right now it's looking a little bit softer than it should. So I wonder if I can fix that real quick. Will they let me, because if I'm not using AV1, then I need to bump this up, Windstar. It's about to look better, man. Let me see if I could do this on the fly. I don't know if it'll let me though. Let's go 25 megabits. All right.
Are you gonna move? Or
and then we'll go 40 megabits. We might want to bump this up to 51. If it will let me. If the stream buffers for it, whatever reason, I might just pause it and then restart the stream again. And people won't really see it. They'll just see like a hiccup, like a jump forward or something like that. All right, so here we go. Boom, we're gonna apply those settings. And I don't know if that's gonna fix anything on the fly, but I am not using AV1, surprisingly, because I forgot to change the setting. But there it is. And if you look at video 8K, my base canvas resolution is set to 8K because, like I said, I'm playing on an 82-inch 8K display. And output scale resolution or whatever is 4K. Sometimes I can also stream at 4K 120 FPS, but YouTube doesn't support that right now. And I can't wait until they do, because I'm going to buy me a new capture card as soon as that news hits. All right, so let's see if it made anything look better. I don't know, because I'm watching the stream back at 1080p to save some bandwidth right now on my other display. Okay. Wow, I'm glad you said something about that. Before it's over, I might just pause it though. I might stop the stream and then restart it with AV1 enabled, because I do want to jack that up to like maximum, like maxed out at like, to see how it looks at like 51 megabits per second.
Del, up we go.
Even though you don't really need to with AV1, I mean, it's defeating the purpose, but I'm always trying to push boundaries, so.
Come on, we gotta be close now.
Oh, this does, man. This game is just beautiful all around,
I
though.
came here for answers. I'm not going home until I get some.
Wow.
Down we go.
I was wondering yesterday, I was looking at the stream,
Keep moving! Our thermals won't...
when I think I was playing Forza or something like that, and I did like a stream, or was it Alan Wake 2? I can't remember, y'all, but I was streaming one of those games and I said, yo, why does this look a little softer to my eyes, because I do this every day, right? So I'm like, things are not looking as crispy as they should, and that was why, because 12 megabits per second was the minimum, and y'all know me, that's 1080p range. I can't do anything with 1080p. All right. No offense now. I'm not talking trash or anything, y'all. You know what I'm saying. I'm just 4K'd out over here. 2K at the lowest.
Del, we got a carrier!
All right, here we go.
See the storm? It's not a carrier I'm worried about.
Perfect reload. Oh, man. Thank you. Thank you for making it easy for me.
High ground on the left! Flank them!
But check this out real quick. I have to say it. Streaming Xbox Game Pass for PC, man. Streaming those titles via GeForce Now, and they're performing better than my Series X that I have sitting right here. And I will be playing more games on the Series X, man. I bought it, paid my $500. But GeForce Now is making it easy for me to forget about my Series X sometimes, especially when I can jump right in and not have to worry about deleting games off my SSD or anything like that. I can use GeForce Now's SSD and put thousands of games on that bad boy, or they have different rigs that I can choose from. Oh, it's crazy, y'all. It just blows my mind to think that a game like Call of Duty, if it were to come in the future, which it will, one of the Call of Duties will be coming in the future. I hope it's next year. But imagine like the newest Call of Duty, they're saying is over 200 and something gigs. That's why GeForce Now just makes sense. Cloud gaming makes sense as a whole. You get what I'm saying, y'all? Like, not everybody is I'm not saying cloud gaming is a must for everybody right now. I'm not saying that because I love my 4090 and I love my hardware too. But what I'm saying is the convenience factor, y'all, for people who can afford the SSDs and things like that. It allows for more people to jump into these games and play at a high level. Now, says, do you still have to log in to Xbox every time? Yes, you do. Currently, you do. But one thing I know about GeForce Now is that they're always making moves to reduce that. Oh, man. Or minimize that. So that will most likely be eradicated at some point. And if not, hold on. Wait. Somebody come pick me up, man. I'm up here talking and they're trying to run up on me. But now, even if they don't, it only takes me about 6 to 7 seconds to log in each time I want to play a certain game. You know what I mean? I know my password, I know my username. For me, it's not a deal breaker. But I know that they've done it with other stores where you don't really have to worry about logging in. Even when I play these Ubisoft games, I never really have to log in. But I did before. Oh man, what am I doing, y'all? I'm up here talking, not focusing, playing with the controller. Let me shut up real quick. Come get me.
I see you.
Yeah, don't let me bleed out. All right, let me retreat. Pull out another gun, pick the homie up.
Hang on, I'll be right there.
Sniper time. Bang.
I'm hurt.
Payback is real. Hold on. Wait. Don't get me in a bad situation, homie.
I gotcha.
Take cover. Yo, playing games with a controller feels so crazy now, y'all. It feels so crazy. I'm spoiled, man.
Stay down.
Keyboard and mouse is the way to do things out here, especially when you're playing shooters. It just feels like everything is much more sluggish when I'm trying to line up my headshots and stuff like that because of controller latency. That's all, input latency from the controller.
That's it.
That's all it is. Not necessarily a bad thing, but it's just a preference thing. All right, mulcher. Let's pick that mulcher back up. Okay. Yeah, but hey, one thing I can tell you though, Windstar man, is that they're always listening. They're always listening to that feedback, and they know what the people want, man. They know what the people want, and they try to give the people what they want. And sometimes when they succeed, people still complain, man. Still complain, but that's just part of today's gaming life.
Watch it.
All right, here we go.
Stay out of the middle.
Now, if your game is not optimized properly, or if it frustrates me or something like that, then yeah, I will complain too. I'm not saying don't complain, but I'm just saying, man, some people just complain about everything, don't even play no damn games. You know what I mean? They just be complaining just to complain. Oh man, ho. Okay. Is dopeness though. 5K holding up at over 60. Every time I look at the FPS counter, it's over 60. Right now it's sitting at 70. All right, 67, 75. Okay, 73, 74. So this is what the RTX 4080 Super Pis is all about. GeForce Now's ultimate tier, y'all. You can even select 5K, 6K, 8K on certain games that still will allow you to select those resolutions. The majority of the games are only going to allow you to select up to 4K because that's what you are supposed to be selecting. But the Coalition, they know that I love their games. You know what I mean? I'm a Coalition fan. So they say, you know what, Project Storm, man, we're going to go ahead and leave this unlocked for you. Have fun. And I said, thank you. And of course, that's a lie, but hey, it sounded real, didn't it?
Completely frozen over.
All right, let's go. Beautiful, beautiful graphics right now. Sanchez is in the house. My fam is showing up, man. My fam is showing up. I don't need 1,000 people. That might be overwhelming. But a couple people hanging out with me every now and then, man, is all I really need to succeed out here, y'all. Not trying to be the biggest YouTuber. I like showing off what I enjoy.
Hey, whoa. It's me.
Yeah, I just want to find that damn Kadar lab.
All right. Now here it is. Beauty pageant time.
You ready?
Hey, yo, Sanchez said, I prefer controller. Plague Tale Requiem is, you know, I have that heart icon emoji or whatever in my way, y'all. And I still haven't had anybody tell me how to turn this thing off. Like, when I look at the chat, I can see, like, I can hit all these emojis or whatever, or emotes, but I can't turn them off and they're in the way of the chat. Let me see. Plague Tale Requiem is, I'm gonna say, man, I want to say you said lit. I don't know. Said played it at 4K max settings. Look awesome. Yes, it does, man. This game right here looks awesome too. And this is what I mean by I don't care how old a game is. If a game is beautiful, it's gonna stay beautiful.
Console's not working.
Huh. There is power in here. Could be a blown fuse or something. Just need to access the circuit panel.
Okay. Yo, if y'all see any buffering, hold on one second. If y'all see any buffering at all, let me know the moment you do. If you all are still hanging around, if you see any buffering at all, I have to confirm that it's really buffering because I know sometimes it could be on our end. But after that, I'm switching over to AV1.
Good eye.
Glad I didn't put it in the title.
Some kind of
All right.
junction box up in the vents.
All right, can Jack handle that? Ho, I turned my TV brightness down. I turned my shadow detail down too low. Hold on. One sec, y'all. Dynamic black equalizer. That's not gonna get it. Gonna go over to picture settings. I know you all can't see this, but I'm just talking to myself right now. All right, I had to turn up BT 0.1886. I need to turn that back up. I had it too low for a game like this. And then shadow detail, I put on -3 for my Samsung display. That looks a lot better now. Flashlight Jack. This is Jack, right? Okay. Is this Jack, y'all? I always get it mixed up, man. Dave. I think this is Dave. Okay. How do I restore this power? I have to send him up here?
Jack, get in there.
Oh, it's Jack. I told y'all it happens every time. Jack, Dave, Jack.
Good job, Jack.
Let's get Jack connected to the console.
Okay.
Get in there, Jack.
Oh, why, here's the lighting right here. We got, let me see. FPV drone is in the building, man. What's going on with you, bro? Thanks for stopping through.
Security systems on.
Let's get out here and have some fun on this Gears, man. Playing at 5K right now. Matter of fact, we're inside. I'm about to go back to 8K. Why not? 8K in game, as you see. 5K right there. I don't know what 6K is, y'all. I can't remember the numbers for 6K, but I might do 6K as well. This is all just showing you that I'm selecting this in game, and it does change the performance. So therefore, it is working in game. That's why I titled the video like I did. 4K 120 FPS that GeForce Now promises, right? And they pull that off with no problems. In pretty much, I'm gonna say 98% of the games I've tried, y'all. Maybe 99. All right, I'm just trying to be more realistic. So we're gonna go 8K, bang, since we're indoors right now. And I'm playing on an 8K display. So here we go. It's not gonna make a difference, it shouldn't, but if I change my desktop settings to 8K 60, it will definitely look a lot cleaner, y'all. I'm telling you now, like, I know because I do it all the time. All right, 8K in game while indoors. And this is what you're getting on the bottom left, far left side. FPS counters at 63, 66, 67. All right. My ping is looking real good. So I was happy that they actually rebooted everything yesterday with the outage, because my ping was jumping up to like 25, not horrible or whatever. And I noticed that it wasn't, it changed my actual recommended server location to the nearest area, the next nearest area. So that's why GeForce Now recommends that you keep it on auto, because when you keep your server settings on auto, it will try to find the next nearest server location, if that makes sense, right? So it put me at Ashburn, VA, when mine should be Newark, New Jersey, or Newark Brick City, put it like that, the bricks. All right, so I remember this part, and I had to focus up because I know I need to find a radio frequency or something like that. Here we go, hold on. I feel my controller vibrating. See, that's the good thing about controller, keyboard don't vibrate. You know? Now, let's move the dial. Okay, right here, boom. Oh, I had it perfect, boom. Go up. Okay. I remember getting stuck on this part and shutting the game off, man. Straight raged, and all I had to do was that. All right. Sanchez. There's Gears looking good also on my phone. No buffering. I appreciate it, bro. Y'all know I got to get back on Alan Wake 2, man. I'm telling you right now, Plague Tale Requiem. I'm going to be playing some Cyberpunk 2077 Phantom Liberty. I'm going to be playing some Battlefield 2042. I'm going to be playing some Division 2 newest content or whatever. I'm going to be playing... bro, I'm gonna tell y'all what my list is when I watch y'all get tired of hearing me talk about the games that I want to stream on GeForce Now, right? City Skylines 2, y'all. I want to go back and play some Dishonored 2 that I played recently on GeForce Now. I want to go back and play some Counter-Strike 2. I want to go back and play so many games. Some Destiny 2. So old and new games. There's hundreds that I want to play right now. Over 500 games that I can easily play on GeForce Now. And I want to play all of them, but I have no time. All right, here we go. Oh, some Forza Motorsport, man. See what I'm saying? It's just too many. Some Deathloop. State of Decay 2. Some Ark Survival. Ascended. You know what I'm saying, y'all? It's hundreds of games, man. Assassin's Creed Mirage and Origins and Odyssey. The list just doesn't stop. But since I don't have to download those games, you will be seeing me jump all over the place. Okay, here we go. Let's get out of here because I will keep you all in the same location for about 30 minutes.
Northwest. It's another tower. So can we use that data to find the lab?
Not yet. We're gonna need that other tower to complete the trace. So what do you think? Should we update Marcus?
I need Red Dead Redemption 2 on here. That's what I need. I need Take-Two or Rockstar or whoever that needs to get it together to get it together. I need GTA on here and all that stuff, man.
Get out of here.
Just want to see what they perform like on the Ultimate tier. But I do have access to those games. I could play them locally on my PC because I do have, I own those games. So whatever games you don't have, consider buying them at a discounted price. If they're not on GeForce Now, I mean, that's what I do. Okay, let's send you up here to get that for me. Too many games. Yeah, man, there's so many games. I mean, indie titles. I don't even really talk about indie titles, and there's so many dope ones out there, y'all. I don't know, man. Hey, remember back in the, I don't know if you all used to complain like, man, we need more games, man. I need more games to play. I don't know if you all have ever said that. But if you have, you are the reason why we have a gaming overload right now. Back catalog and all that stuff, you all, people talk about it every day. But this is a great problem to have. I'd rather have too many games than not enough games. And then you have subscription services like the great Xbox Game Pass, man. I mean, Ubisoft Plus, PlayStation Plus. I mean, you name it, y'all. The services are out here. And they all give us EA Play Pro. I have that as well. Just access to a lot of games.
I think we can get out this way.
And I'm never going to complain about that. All right, Kate. Let's go out here back into the world and explore this beautiful scenery. Northcom Tower. I'm still on 8K, by the way, y'all. And I know y'all forgot. I know y'all thought it was 5K, right? But this is 8K in game. You know what I'm saying? 8K in game. This is what the 4080 can do for you. All right. Now, let's go back down though to 4K. Would they? I wonder if they'll let me do 1440p. Let's go to 1440p. For all of the 1440p or 2K lovers out there, y'all, we're going to go down to 67% resolution scale right now. And again, it's just a glimpse of what you get over here. Ask for it. You can get it. Anybody want 720p? Let me know. You want 1080p? Let me know. Let's see what happens on the FPS counter, though. Everything maxed out 1440p. As long as it doesn't ask me to restart the game, I'm good. Now I can tell that things got noticeably softer and blurrier, right? Because that's the difference coming from 8K to 1440p. I wonder if you all can see the difference in what I'm talking about in the rocks and everything. Now 1440p looks great. It looks like 4K at times, y'all. So I'm never going to disrespect 1440p. But yeah, if you look at this game world right now, especially on a large enough display on your phones and iPads and stuff like that, you might not be able to tell the difference as clearly. But y'all, it's there. But it feels better. Here's the thing about 1440p. It feels good. Now, I know I don't have VSync on. Do I? I have VSync on, man. Let me slap something, man. Hold on 1 second. Next time, turn the damn VSync off. You know what I'm saying? Hey, y'all, you got to have fun out here. Sometimes you got to talk to yourself, man. You know what I mean? I got you all to talk to today, so it don't sound like, I'm not that crazy. But VSync is not, I just turned it off, but it's definitely not doing what it's supposed to be doing. Maybe because I have it set to adaptive in GeForce Now in the settings. Let me see. All right, so you hit Control plus G to bring up this, I call it the command center, all right? It is the overlay though. And you can hit gameplay to see what you're streaming at. Right now I'm streaming at 75 megabits per second, 4K, frame rate 120, adaptive VSync. Let's turn it off. I don't think it's going to make a difference. I think I think one thing about the Xbox games is that they seem to lock their FPS to 120, which makes sense. Because I know they don't want, I'm sure to introduce like screen tearing and things like that if you let it go high. But then again, that's a lie because Doom Eternal, if you put the game in HDR, it will go up to 200 and 300 FPS. Now, I don't know why that's the case, but it is the case with Doom Eternal if you play it on GeForce Now. If you turn on HDR, that's the only way you can get above the 120 FPS. So here we go. Let's try this. I don't think it's going to work, but we have to do it anyway. And it did not work. So again, these games are just capped at 120. Okay. Now, let me turn everything back how I had it. Okay. I don't think I changed anything else. But yeah, yo, can y'all see the difference from 1440p? Sanchez said he can't do 1440p anymore, man. I'm not mad at you, bro, but it is crispy. It is beautiful. I can't lie, man. If I'm playing games on my 4090 on at 1440p, I'm happy with it. Yo, oh, wait, look. Yo, thankfully, look at the right side of the screen, y'all. I forgot I turned it on, and this is why I turned on the other FPS counter. So it's GeForce Now is their overlay or their counter. Is that the case, y'all? It has to be the case. GeForce Now, we got to look into that. Because on the right-hand side, the in-game FPS counter is at 200 and something FPS. So the whole time, you mean to tell me that's what I should have been looking at when I went to 8K? Let me go back to 8K. Hold on. 1 second. See, new discoveries are being made and you all didn't even catch that. Shame on you all. All right, here we go. 7769. Okay, now this right here seems accurate. At 8K, that's really, really interesting. So the cap, anything that goes over 120 is capped on the GeForce Now overlay for some odd reason. We know the GeForce Now overlay goes up to 999 FPS. Once it hits 1,000, you just get like a line, like a little line or whatever, a hash line. Let's see. All right, so that's 60 something FPS. We're gonna go back down to 5K. Okay. Man, hit the like button though. Hit the like button, y'all. You know what I mean? Nobody else is out here doing it like this. Okay, let's go. Things definitely got cleaner and more crispy at 5K than 1440p. I can easily see it. All right. Check that out, how smooth everything is, man.
Guess we're sliding down.
I remember a time I stopped playing Gears because of the camera shake. The roadie run just made me so sick, I couldn't tolerate it.
I keep thinking about Niles. Those experiments.
And do you know what the average person would do if they found out the little we already know?
Oh wow, that's oh did she put her leg up on a rock? Oh, I thought she put her foot up on a rock.
So what do we do? Who do we tell?
Maybe no one. What would be the point? The people behind all this are dead.
So do what Anya did. Nothing.
All right, let me check the gamma setting real quick too. Brightness, where's the brightness? Hold on 1 second. I know I missed it. Display. Brightness calibration. Okay, it's on 50, which is cool. I'm gonna leave it right there. Sanchez said, Dead Space remastered on Game Pass also looks great. Can't max it out on my 6800 XT. Can't do 1440p anymore, man. Yeah, we gotta be able to do it, man. One day, if we get stuck with 1440p one day, we have to go back to it, man. I know what you're saying. That's how I feel about 720p and 1080p. Like, I can play on a small device at 1080p. The problem is I don't play games on small devices. Not as much as I do my big screen. All right, let's drop this weapon right now. Oh man, hit the wrong button. Drop the weapon. Let me get in the passenger seat. Now wait, let me see, because this is, yeah, I think he's doing, wait, who's doing the driving? And I love this vehicle though, but who's doing the driving, y'all? Okay, let's go. No, how the hell do you go? I forgot how to move this thing. Oh, I need to be on the back, that's why. Got it. It's been a while, forgive me.
I'm taking this.
Get the motor out of the way.
I'll take navigation.
Let's hop on a ride. R trigger. Should I explore what's over here?
But we need to find another tower.
Good work. But remember, if there is a lab in Melbourne,
This area is known to get me lost.
a long time. There's probably a good reason for that.
Understood. We'll be in touch.
Look how beautiful this is, man. 5K in game.
Whoa! The Condor plowed right into that cliff.
Should I visit the Condor crash site? I think I should. Hold on, how do I get around there?
Marcus, you know anything about a Condor crash out here?
Matter of fact, wind flares took out a few of them recently. Probably some useful shit on those things.
So super smooth, y'all. No screen tearing, no nothing.
Wreckage
Hold
is
on.
pretty spread out. A lot of area to search.
Flock! Flock!
No, 2 flocks!
Okay,
Why do you think I said
let's
it
get it
twice?
popping.
Oh shit! Rejects pouring out of that Condor!
Spread out! Give him multiple targets!
Got him. Led the shot. It was realistic.
God damn, there's a lot of them!
Can I get another gun? Oh, I'm gonna shoot you in the head if you keep on coming. Oh, wait. I got your back. This feels pretty damn good for a controller, though. It really does. Hold on.
Took him out.
Block the back!
No. Fall back. Yo, look at the mountain. Oh, man.
Oh, yeah!
One block grounded!
All right. Oh. Oh, get out of there. Perfect reloads, though. Check out the reload. And That's how you know there's no latency or anything like that. All right, let's switch over to keyboard and mouse, y'all. It just takes a long time to target things, and I don't want to turn the sensitivity up because it's real finicky like that. So let me throw this wire over the table. Bang. I have everything set up in front of me. My streaming microphone on a boom arm. God damn it. Can't talk, y'all. Boom arm. Okay, now check out the mouse now. All that whole time I was playing with oh, I forgot to hit the reload button.
Holy shit.
The whole time I was playing with the controller.
That was a lot.
Oh my God. See, now my brain is messed up because I'm thinking I'm still playing with the controller. How do you stop it? All right, cool.
You know what the flock around. Every time a condor goes down, it turns into a goddamn reject factory.
Yeah, well, I never liked DBs much the other way either.
Okay, so the shift button is, let's see something. Got to get used to these controls. Hold space bar to run. Go get that gun. Salvo. Gotta get it. All right, press tab. Check out the map real quick. Back to Jack and range boost, expanded targeting array. Might as well do it, right? Detect pickups. All right, let me see. Zapper. Okay, we got that done. Now let's move on.
Jack, can you get this open?
At this time, I'm not going to be doing too much more talking, y'all. I just want to play at this point. I've talked enough, right? Ultimate upgrade, marked for death. Okay, we don't have enough for any more, so let's go.
All right. I think we scavenged everything.
Come on then, back to the skiff.
Yo, they responded to what I just said, man. He was like, all right. And then she was like, come on, back to the skiff. Wow.
know, his ice cliffs are death though. This one's got a nice view.
Whatever floats your boat, my friend. Come on, up here.
So, back on the trail?
Unless something else comes up, which it always does.
All right, let me drop this right here. How do I switch weapons? Hold on. Man, that's going to make me go back to the controller because I forgot my keyboard layout. So let's go back to the controller real quick. Real simple on the D-pad. This was a console game first anyway, so.
I'll cover driving.
Which way? Zoom. All right, now this is the tricky part right here. This map right here, it can be very, very confusing at times to see. Like you think you should go this way. Let's see. Let's go this way.
What if what we find... What if it's really bad?
You do know it's probably not going to be good.
Yeah, but what if it's like worst case scenario stuff?
Okay. And what does that look like?
Honestly, that Niall Sampson is my grandfather.
Well, I had a worst case scenario. You just topped it.
Nope. Thought I can go through there. I thought I could squeeze through on foot.
There it is. The other comm tower. Hey, cargo salt derricks beyond those trees. Hey, this is it. Come on, let's get off.
All right, let's get to the tower and grab that data.
Wonder how far their lab's gonna be once we isolate its location.
With our luck, it'll be on the very top of Mount Kadar.
Ah, that's an unfortunate and almost certainly accurate prediction.
All right, let me see something. I forgot. I think I mapped all my buttons. Yeah, I did. I mapped them to my mouse anyway, so duh. 4 for frag grenade.
Del, substation. Want to check it out?
Yeah, we should.
Look, by the door. There's a note.
Want to make sure I wasn't leaving anything. All right, because this one sure as hell doesn't. All right. Norse goes inside, potted. I locked him up so he can't hurt anybody. And I'm in no shape to help anyone right now. If you can't get to him in time, if it's too late, shit. Just be gentle, all right? He was a good man. Let's go. I can tell she died.
Those outsiders were attacked here, too. The according to this, Norsco got potted, so Lena locked him inside.
Damn. From bad to worse, huh?
She says she headed to a radio tower southeast. We have to find her.
All right, forget about upgrades real quick. Let's go. Need to turn my sensitivity down a little bit. Wait. All right, I'm gonna drive with the controller. Gotta do that, it feels right. How? Wrong way. Has to be the wrong way. Had to try it. Had to try it. I feel like I need to be able to get through somewhere. All right. That's a pretty long walk. I don't know if they want me to get off and find my way around this building. They could have opened that up and let me ride my skiff up to this point, man. Oh, hell.
Every time
Okay.
I think it can't get any colder.
Every game has jump scares now.
After all this, a vacation would be nice.
I would not get your hopes up.
There's our other tower. Looks like it's in relatively good shape, too.
Then let's head to it.
Okay, question for you before we dig any deeper into this.
All right. Just to let you all know, we're still rocking at 5K. Still rocking at 5K. In game. That's 5K in game graphic settings.
Raina ever do anything suspicious? I mean, why does she even have that ammo?
I've been thinking about that. There was a lot she didn't tell me. How she met my dad, why she never knew her own mother. All she'd say about her father was that he was bad. I know she grew up rough, but where she came from, that's a mystery. Obviously, she was hiding something. But what? And why?
Well, I hope we can find you some answers.
Yeah, me too. Get behind something. Swarm ahead.
Okay. We got a bunch of swarm on thin ice. You thinking what I'm thinking?
Oh, how did I miss? Oh, I got scared for a minute.
Jack, fetch!
Hey! Look back there! Sniper!
Oh, sniper. Okay, it's time to play Sniper Wars then. Let's go. Sniper Wars up. Let me reload first. Oh gosh.
Throwing frag!
Throwing frag!
Where are you hiding? Oh, all right. Let's go.
They're done. Way more of these things up here than I was expecting.
At this point, I expect them to be everywhere.
You're probably right. Let's just get to the tower.
Come on, I'll give you a boost.
You killed me! You killed me! You killed me! Who could trust you now? Trust you now.
All right, here we go.
Hey, what gives?
I really want to know what's going to happen to her.
Got distracted. Look what I found.
Nice. Let's see if we can find some of that good shit Marcus promised.
Open this, Jack.
Game is beautiful.
Decent stuff here. Come on, let's head for the comm tower. Huh. I was expecting more DBs in here than this. Maybe it wasn't a full flight. That or they wandered off.
Almost at the tower. Come on. I think we just found that Condor's payload.
Here we go.
Clear 'em out. And we got a bastion too. Frag out. Target's down.
Hey, just shoot us! Destroy the bastion!
Stay down. Shit.
Man, missed that. Last shot, we gotta make it count.
That's the big guy. All right.
Nice.
Clear.
Damn, I hate those corrupted guardians. Come on, let's get to that tower.
Del, over this log. Yeah, this'll work. Down here.
All right.
Shit.
Let's get it. Got where I can hit him at. What the hell?
I'm coming.
Get that. Yo.
Come me up.
Woo-wee. We're done.
Coming your way. No! I'm bleeding out.
Come on, get us up. Come on, Jack. Nice. Just sat right there and watched them jump. Woo! The hell out of here.
Del, you good?
Well, I'm cold. Don't really know where we are. And generally kind of confused about what we're doing. But, yeah. Good.
What the hell was a warden doing out here in the middle of nowhere?
Got him out of there, Sanchez, man. I appreciate it. Let's see. I'm gonna go down here and get all this stuff, and we're gonna keep on going. And then my food should be here in a little while, but I'm gonna keep on playing, man. I'm trying to beat this game. Let's see. Gonna go up here. Gonna go back to 4K. Just to show people that the FPS counter works when you change the in-game settings. And I really don't want to waste this.
Man, I really hope he didn't come up.
Yeah, okay, this is going to be nice. I don't think I've ever used it.
Del, rejects.
Creep up on these guys. Damn, this looks good, man. Even at 4K, of course. I mean, it is 4K. The stream is 4K, but I do think it looks a little bit better when it goes to 5 and 8K on this TV. All right, here we go. Whoa. Oh, I thought he was one of those guys for a minute, man. I was about to give him the chop. Okay. Oh, I had to do it to you. Sorry about that. I had to do it. Get out of here. I love it, man. This game is it's a classic, man.
How many goddamn DBs was that Condor carrying?
One problem at a time.
Let me take a screenshot. Let's see. Need to find a good lens flare. Right there. Body connection. Oh boy, here we go. Let's see if it's gonna stop the gameplay. If it does, then I'll be right back with another stream. Random things can happen, and it could be on my end. Most likely, whenever I have an issue with this on my end and I have to reset my equipment and all that stuff that I forget to do each week, as recommended by my ISP. But until it shuts down, we're gonna keep on rocking. And that is a rare thing for it to happen that way. But if your internet is not that great, of course, you might have some issues with cloud gaming, especially at 4K. But yo, this looks so good. Look at this right here. Hold on, man.
Yeah.
Wow.
Same as last time.
I'm definitely impressed by the level of detail that I'm seeing right now. Look at Jack. Like the ring, the blue, like the inner ring of his body or whatever, with the little ridges or lines. That's crazy. All right. Shadow game. All right, we got to go back up to 8K real quick. We're indoors. Definitely adds a bit more detail, y'all. I don't know if AI upscaling has anything to do with it, because one thing I know with AI upscaling is it upscales to the resolution of your display. Now, again, I'm not saying that GeForce now supports higher than 4K resolution, but what I'm saying is this definitely looks better to me. It could be placebo. It's not an 8K stream, but I'm telling y'all, man, it doesn't mean that the in-game graphics can't come across a little bit more detailed. It's like kind of like when you don't have a 4K display when you're watching a YouTube video, but it seems to look better on a 1080p display even. Or if you watch 8K videos on a 4K display. All right. One day we'll be talking about 8K streaming via AV1 or AV2 or whatever the case is. One day. And that's why I have an 8K display ready to go. And I'm going to upgrade to a better one because it's just that good. It's that good at upscaling everything that I throw at it. Even GeForce Now.
Get in there, Jack.
And I love it, Sanchez, man. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm one of the only ones in the world that's doing this right now, bro. So nobody can tell me otherwise. You know? How many people are streaming on GeForce Now Ultimate at 8K? You get what I'm saying? And my desktop is not even set to 8K, and it still looks better. If I set my desktop right now to 8K, I'm afraid that the stream might get a little bit stretched out or something. So I'm not going to do it. But man, I'm hard-headed, so why not? Let's go. Like I said, I pushed the limits, right? Only thing that can happen is something bad could happen. All right, so let's go to System, Display. Right now, just to let you all know, we're on 4K right here. 4K recommended. Hopefully it's picking that up. Let me see. All right. But we're going to, I could have turned on auto HDR or stream the game in HDR because it does have HDR support as well. Right now we have 120 hertz. When I change it to 8K, it's automatically going to go to 60, but I want to know what's going to be messed up. And I do have VRR on as well, variable refresh rate, which makes everything look super smooth. Hardware accelerated GPU scheduling and all that stuff. Auto HDR down here. Well, let's switch it to 8K and see what happens. I have my base canvas on 8K, so it shouldn't be. Look, 400% scaling, y'all. 500 recommended, but I'm gonna leave it on 4. All right, let's see if it shows up. It should show up on stream. I'm just waiting for it because there's a delay. Oh man, yes, it does look better, man. I know what I'm talking about here, y'all. Hold on, hopefully, let me see how it looks on stream. It definitely looks sharper. Look at the, all right, so if you look at all right, here it is, y'all. If you can't believe what I say, look at how small the FPS counter got on the right-hand side of the screen. This right here shows you that the resolution has changed. My desktop background is 8K. But this looks so much more beautifully detailed right now, y'all, on this display. Craziness. Craziness. Even the text got whiter and everything. Wow. Okay. So we're gonna go ahead and just try to get off the screen real quick and see how everything else looks. Hold on. The game, I think I set the game at 8K, and you can do this with cloud gaming, by the way. Okay, yeah, it looks like everything is scaled properly because I had the base canvas on again, 8K. Everything is on 8K max, by the way. Yo, I'm gonna have to do a dedicated stream explaining this stuff right here, y'all. I'm not even sure the good old folks at GeForce Now can explain this one. You know what I'm saying? All right. Here we go. And Sanchez and whoever else, you're out here checking it out live, man. That's why I appreciate y'all. Oh my God, hell yeah. This is being upscaled to 8K resolution. I'm convinced of it. You know what I'm saying? Look, it even created look like when I pan the camera, you can see that the FPS is being affected now. I mean, the feel of the game or whatever, right? Things got a little blurry because it's 8K 60 now. Look at that. When I pan the camera right there, I don't want to make anybody sick. But hell yeah, this looks better. I definitely have to chat with some people at GeForce Now to see what they think, man. Could AI upscaling be making this game look better? Wow. I might have to do an 8K 60 recording just to show what I'm talking about. Look at that. Look at the details even in the puddle, the ambient occlusion or whatever. Screen space reflections. Wow. Wow, y'all. The details on her armor and everything is just crazy jacked up. Okay. But we're going to switch back over for now. I had to do it. I just had to do the glimpse. Hold on. Sanchez said, you should do an interview with Purple. Man, Purple, we were talking about it, man, but I'm just like, I got to find time, bro. BlizzCon in 30 minutes. Curious to see if they are bringing any games to Game Pass now that Microsoft owns them. That's a good point, bro. That's a good point. It looks good, bro. I don't know if you could tell the difference right there, man. I'm sure it's noticeable, Sanchez. Wow, bro. All right. So let's go ahead and put this thing back down. Let's go down. Before I do that, before I put it back on 4K, let's go down to, it just made the color saturation and everything look better, y'all. Details Like, it's bananas, y'all. Let's go to 1080p or let's go to 720p. Definitely going to be blurry. Yep. So that's what I'm talking about. Even though I have my desktop on 8K, it's still trying to upscale, and it just looks like trash because of 720p, and 720p is prehistoric. So we're going to go up to 1080p. Hold on. This is the kind of stuff I like to do. Okay. 1080p looks noticeably better than 720p. 120 FPS on the counter. Look, 200 and something in game on the right hand side of the screen. It's the only thing on the right hand side of your screen right now. 228 FPS, right? Okay. And I could definitely play like this if I had to, except there's a little bit of blurriness when I turn the camera and stuff. All right. So let's go 1440p. And then I have to eat something, but I'm going to eat and probably keep on going. So I'll just stop talking and play. All right, 1440p again. Much better than 720p, of course. Definitely sharper than 1080p, and it should be. Okay. 4K. Beautiful. Hell yeah, y'all. But I can tell the difference is definitely softer than the 8K when I set it into 8K in game. I'm telling you, 8K changes the whole look of everything on your TV. You just have to have an 8K display to understand it, y'all. I'm telling you. Like, it just makes everything look as if you're looking through like some kind of window or portal or something like that versus a TV screen. Now, I don't even have to go to 5. What the hell is 6K resolution? Let me look that up real quick. Let me look up, what is 6K? All right, 6K res. 6K resolution is 6144 by 3456. And I bet you I can't get that resolution to be exact. 6144 by 3456. 6144. All right. See, it skips 6144. It goes to 6187. So this will be closest I can get to 6K. But I'm sure there's not going to be a discernible difference from 6K to 8K. And none of this is actually native 6K, 5K, or 8K because GeForce now streams at 4K max. 4K 120, y'all. And then listen to how I'm talking up here. It's crazy. But it looks spectacular. And the reason for the blurriness when I turn the camera is because this is not 8K or 6K 120. It's 6K 60, 8K 60, and all that. All right. Because if my display could do 8K or 6K 120 or whatever the case is, then it'll look buttery smooth as it does in 4K. All right. So that's the equivalent. That's what 6K would be. All right. And of course, I know you all can't see any of that, but let me just go back to 5K and leave it where it's supposed to be. And then we're going to change my desktop back to 4K 120. All right. So let's do that. Could do a custom resolution of 5K or 6K or something like that, I think. All right, now we got to go back to graphics, make sure everything is set, and then we're going to change that FPS counter or that hertz back to 120. There we go. So for everybody with like a 144, 165, 240, 360 hertz monitor, You're in for a treat. I'm telling you right now, these games are going to feel amazing. Look at that. No choppiness, none of that stuff, because now I have matched my hertz with my TV or whatever, or my desktop with my TV settings. Buttery smooth, no issues. All right. I'll be right back. Let me go get my food.
You've been kind of waiting here for a while, though.
All right. One more, give me like a couple more minutes. Okay.
Is there any particular...
I'm back, but not 100% back. So let's try to get out of this one location so I can give you all something to look at.
Jack, pop this
Something
on.
else to look at. Well, man, this game, look at this game. This is why I always tell people, man, don't trust me. Don't trust what I have to say. Trust what you see. Wow.
What the hell's this? Someone's workshop? Got something here.
A Spectrum Scrambler.
Okay, cloak.
Oh, I got an idea for Jack.
Yeah, man, we gotta upgrade this. Squad mates move 15% faster. Okay. Kills while cloak, extend cloak's duration. I needed that, man. I should have waited, but it's all right. I'll get more points. All right. Yo, I got this good chicken cheese steak, man. Some fries, some wings or whatever. And I'm about to get busy. I'll be right back. Look at some nice lighting. Be right back.
Are you gonna move, or are we just gonna stand here looking at
All right. Sorry about that.
Getting through this? Not gonna be possible.
I have done this before. So why did my save take me back? I've done this already. All right. Okay, let's go. Damn, stem? Do I need stem? Cloak? I need cloak. Oh no, it saw me. Hold on, wait. Was that stem?
I got it. I'm bleeding out.
Hold on one sec.
Jack, shock trap.
Shock trap. Ah, Jack, come on, man.
I got you.
Get over here!
I forgot. How do I? Okay, hold on. Hold. Cloak.
I'm bleeding out! I'll help you out!
No, you can't. Hold on.
Jack, look.
This is why I remember this part. I remember getting shot up like this before.
Get over here!
Oh my gosh. Oh gosh. We're gonna go ahead and take that L real quick. See if we can do this again.
What the hell's this? Someone's workshop? Got something here.
A spectrum scrambler. Oh, I got it. Jack, check it. Jack's cloak can now make us invisible too.
Invisible, huh?
We might want to try it here.
Del, let's go. All right.
Nice.
One problem behind us.
And we got a new tool.
Come on then. Back to
All
the
right,
start.
as y'all can tell, I'm eating right now, and I do apologize it, but that's why I'm not going to be talking right now.
Not so fast. Snipers ahead.
If only we could turn ourselves invisible somehow!
Way ahead of you. Jack, cloak.
Let's take them down!
Okay, we got them all. Let's get down the hill and back to the skiff. All right, you ready to go find that lab?
Yep, ready as I'll ever be. Look, I gotta ask you something. Once you get yourself answers,
Yeah?
what then? I mean, what happens next?
What are you actually asking?
Look, I know you're not exactly thrilled to be in the cog.
Hey, if you're worried I'm gonna run off or something.
No, I'm not worried you're gonna run off.
Oh, no? Well, maybe you should worry.
Sanchez said, "That's how I see the game when I install Reshade. Makes the game sharper and more colorful." Got it. Yeah, it was definitely impressive, and it was noticeable, man. No placebo, none of that stuff. It was definitely noticeable, man, when I put it on 8K. Here we go. I could be due to upscaling or whatever the case is, man. I'm not sure yet.
Okay.
But I know I saw a difference, and I know what 8K looks like on this TV.
Where would you go?
Pre or post swarm outbreak?
Pre.
Someplace with a beach.
And post?
A bunker, 5 miles underground.
Okay. You got room for two?
Aren't you forgetting Jack?
Yeah, but he doesn't take up much space.
What about you? Where would you go?
You know what? I have no idea. But I tell you, it would be no snow.
Okay.
Marcus, we got a location. If there was a lab in Mount Kadar, we'll know soon enough.
Okay. But I'll
We're
say
making
again,
progress.
that mountain was
I haven't been too much further than this,
I don't know
though.
what's there. Just promise that if you run into something you can't handle, you'll let me know.
Appreciate that, but we're doing all right so far. Delta out.
Oh, yeah. I remember this.
Hey, our coordinates are coming up.
Wait a second. There's nothing here.
Yeah, I don't get it. Look, the data checks out. We're in the right place. Maybe Jack can, I don't know, use Pulse to ping the signal.
Worth a try.
How do I change?
Jack, cloak.
No, not cloak.
Come on, Jack. Use Pulse.
Pulse. That's what I'm looking for.
Jack, we need you. Pulse that signal.
Jack, pulse.
Here we go.
Whoa. There's something under the ice. Nice work, buddy.
That's gotta be what we're looking for. But how do we get down there?
Not easily. Ice this thick, it's like concrete.
Not sure if this helps, but Baird says there was an old mine in that area.
Old mine? Blasting caps. Explosives.
I'll push the coordinates to Jack.
Thanks, Marcus.
All right. I guess we got a potential solution. Old mine it is. You know when Marcus said we were heading up north? This isn't exactly what I had in mind.
out by Oscar's village. This is ridiculous.
What about your armor's thermals? They're still working, right?
Yeah, but my armor doesn't cover my face. My goddamn nose hair is frozen.
Thanks for sharing.
Skip's holding up well. That's the one positive development here.
You know, Oscar used to take me skiff sailing on the salt flats near Halvo Bay.
You guys went that far to sail.
Yeah. And there was no cog left down there. Nothing. Just ruins. I'm really gonna miss him.
I know. Me too.
All right. Wait a minute. This is how you get lost. Let's see.
Man, that's one busted-ass old centaur.
All right, let's just see what they have over here. Need some more upgrade points. All right, that's where we came from, so I guess not. I'm gonna keep on moving. Nope. This is where I got lost. I'm telling y'all. I gotta guess I have to go through here. And dead end, so I have to go through somewhere. All right, says old mine over there. This is crazy.
Okay, let's hit this place up. Could be cool.
Let's head up here. Come on. Figures. They're all over the place.
Let's try to get the drop on.
They're onto us! Put him down!
Kate! Incoming warning!
Put them out.
I'm wounded! Get over here!
Come on. Figures. They're all over the place.
Let's try to get the drop on.
They're onto us! Put him down!
Kate! Incoming warning!
Knocked down!
I got you!
Drop to hostile!
I'm coming!
Come on! Knocked down!
I'm coming. I see you.
Come on. Figures. They're all over the place.
Let's try to get the drop off.
Jack, look. They're onto us! Put them down!
Kate, incoming warning! I'm bleeding out!
I gotcha. I'm knocked down!
I'll help you out! Check fire!
here!
I got you.
Are you kidding me? Jack, close! One less. All right, they're all down.
Let's hunt around for cooling tech.
It's some kind of part, which I'm gonna guess just made your day.
Nice. That's a grind lift cooling system part. Remember those engineering notes? We find more of this tech, we can upgrade Jack. It's excited. Kate, can you feel it? She feels it. I can tell.
All right, grab anything else you need before we head back to the skiff. Del, you coming?
Kate, the mine's in the backwoods over there. Let's go find some explosives.
Okay, the mine's back here somewhere, right? Let's hope it's got something we can use.
Oh, it should. But that really depends on the type of mining they engage in. If they were doing hydraulic mining, we might find some high-pressure water cutters. But given the environment, I bet it was some kind of subsurface extractive mining operation.
Okay, all right, I got it. We're going down. There's the mine. Marcus, we're here. What do you know about this place?
Let's see. It's an old nether cut mine. Industrial, rare metals. Company got nationalized by the COG right before E-Day.
So no activity since the war?
No COG activity. Can't speak beyond that.
Okay, thanks. We'll be in touch. What's up with all this clear cutting?
For the mine, probably. Just building material. Industrial logging is not really my area.
Whoa, so there is something that's not your area.
Hey, I enjoy knowing things. Is that a crime?
Not this way. Bridge to the mine is blocked. Derailed train.
I mean, it's gotta be another way across, right?
Let's see. Okay, looks promising. I take it back. We got swarm.
Let's take him out!
Careful on that ice.
I'll help you out!
Cloak! Stay down! All right, they're done.
Well, it's pretty clear they don't want us in that mine.
Yeah, but we gotta get up there. Let's try that lift. Jack, cloak.
Hey Marcus, man, I was just thinking the same thing as I was playing. It's definitely harder than it should be, which is why I'm about to switch over to the keyboard and mouse. I don't know why I keep going back to the controlling while driving, and then I keep forgetting to go back. So it's definitely tricky. Hold on. I was just thinking it like, man, it's taking so long to aim. But the problem with the my mouse and keyboard setup is that I can't remember what I had things set to, like zoom. So I'm gonna have to go in and check it all out. I mean, I could play the game with the controller. It just seems like, yeah, the aiming is definitely going to be harder. That's in any game. So, crazy. Plus the, like I was getting hit at the same time. So the splash damage or whatever was getting me. All right, here we go. But thanks for stopping through, man. That's funny. I was just thinking the same thing you were that you put in the chat. All right. But other than that, the game feels great, man. It feels really, really good to play. Buzzkill. I need to try this buzzkill. Played GTA. Driving cars was easier with controller. Yep. Yes, sir. That's why I'm telling you, I was a controller guy for a while. I played on console for years. I've always mixed it up, like PC, console, from way back when Half-Life 2 and all of those games was out. I was on PC at the time. And I had a hard time getting used to keyboard and mouse at first. It was all about it. Now it's about a balance, depending on the game that you're playing. Let's see what they want me to do. It's all about the balance of it. All right, here we go.
Jack, rip that door.
Here we go.
Hey, other side of the river.
All right, let me put this down real quick. Oh man, I need a better gun.
Took him out.
How did I miss? Oh, I missed. No, get me out of here. Get dropped. Oh my God, drop the gun. I tried to drop the gun.
I'm coming.
I don't have the right weaponry. Man, I'm done. Hold up.
I got you.
My gosh, bro. Let me just switch to the
I got you.
Talon, man.
Oh shit! We got a
I haven't played Gears in a while, and it's just trying to get used to everything again. All right. Oh my God! Here. Get out of the way. The hell, these things are fast. Nope. Yo, come on, man.
Hang on, I'll be right there.
Come on!
All right, let's get the hell out of here. I'm trying to melee. Are you serious? Wow. Gears gets real. It gets real out here. I'll tell you that much. Okay.
Hey, other side of the river.
I see him. Hold him off.
right, that'll do it.
I'll take that.
Forgot how to use this gun.
Fire in the hole! They're still coming. Man, they do not want us getting into that mine.
Sweet.
I got him!
This right here is why I'm not playing multiplayer, because I will get destroyed online
Hang on, I'll be right
if
back.
I can't get my controls down. Oh, get out of here.
I'm moving! Get over here!
Done. Come on, Jack. It's up to you.
Sweet.
Oh, help here! You gotta help me out!
Oh, gosh. Am I trapped? Oh, man. Crazy. They got rid of my consoles after a year with Stadia, but you know what happened? Yep, I definitely know what happened with that. Let me see. That gun reminds me of the Half-Life gravity gun where you could pick up, yes, sir. All because of an unlucky nade. Yo, man, this right here is kind of tricky. I'm not gonna lie to you. Let me see how to aim down sight. Got to see how to aim down sight real quick with the mouse. Hold on, key bindings. Mouse tube. Oh, zoom in. No binding set. No wonder. No set binding. Let's see what I have. Action is already bound to zoom. Okay. So it was middle mouse button the whole time, or mouse 3. I think. Can I set it to? I don't think I need to set it to zoom out as well. Hold on.
Other side of the river!
I see him. Hold him off.
Oh no, I definitely, okay, I could just let it go to zoom out. Oh. Oh man, I keep thinking he's an enemy. Yo, my buttons are all, I'm all confused like this, man. Like, I don't even know how to goddamn play with keyboard and mouse, man. This is crazy. Whoa, get out of there.
Locked down!
Let me see what I had the sensitivity set on. Look, sensitivity 15. I don't think it's so much that is target sensitivity. I think I need to slow it down a little bit. Zoom, leave zoom at 10. No, let's see what's up.
Going frag! They're still coming.
And let's try to go to 4K and see if it makes a difference. Hold up. All of this was played in 5K at 5K in game. I just want to see. It's definitely not this though, because I know.
Man, they do not want us getting into that mine.
Nope, save that. Save that. Nope, feels the same. It doesn't even feel bad. It's just that it's me trying to play with the controller. I think I'm not really a fan of the Elite 2 controller anyway, because I think there's a noticeable amount of input latency. I've always felt that way since I had this controller. I sent it back to get repaired, and the issue is still there. Oh, whoa, wait, dang. Gosh, they just won't let up.
This'll work.
Damn it, he moved. Done. I'm done. Look at this. Look at this. All right. Okay. All right. Hold on. Using with Bluetooth. Nah, I have it plugged in. USB Type-C, man. It's just.
Okay, other side of the river.
I have no idea what it is. It's just a gears thing. And this is not one of the easiest levels. There's no real latency or anything like that because of the reload. Like I can get a perfect reload every time. Unless I'm in the middle of battle and just keep getting hit up with splash damage.
Oh shit!
Get out of here. Can't stay in one area too long. All right, let's go back. Then one thing I had to take into account too, man, I have these different thumbstick settings with this controller. I might need to tighten them up a little bit. Oh, I need to snipe it. I want to snipe it. Do some extra damage. One more.
I need some help, Mason!
Oh, he's hiding. Ah, dang it. What? Come on. Oh, man, who the... Ah. All right.
They're still coming. Man, they do not want us getting into that mine.
Perfect!
Oh, gosh.
I need some help!
Oh, my God. Bro. Yo! This is on normal difficulty, too. No. Oh my gosh. Get out of there.
I need some help! Come on!
Get up.
No help here!
I gotcha! I need some help!
Oh my God, man, why did I go for the res? Why did I go for the res, man? I gotta get it done though. dedicating this time to beating this game, man. I gotta get it out of here.
Other side of the river!
I see him. Hold him off. One less.
Damn, I didn't know he was right there.
Oh shit! We got a Scion! And it's got a Bastion!
Throwing grenade! One less. You're dead!
Fire in the hole! They're still coming! Man, they do not want us getting into that mine.
Oh, I missed the reload. Oh my God, pick me up. Let's get out of here. No. Another one back here. My gosh. This is crazy.
Throwing
Oh my god. Yo, are you serious, man? This is crazy. No, what am I doing, man?
Little help there. I'm bleeding out.
Oh, whoa, 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 whoa. I didn't know that was wood. Come on.
Stay down! Okay, we're clear.
All right, let me turn aim assist on. It's been off the whole time, I think. About to turn that on. That was another thing. I was playing with no aim assist.
And the lift should be good to go.
All right,
Nice work, Jack.
got that done, finally.
Wait a sec. This was an outsider camp. Luna, Norsko, I bet they were from here.
You could be right. But that means...
That means we're about to have a fight on our hands. What's up here?
Roscoe said is true. This place got wiped out. Keep your guard up.
Cut me loose.
Yeah, sure looks like they fought him hard in here. Just no bodies.
Yeah. I'm taking this. Let's get this open.
You know, I thought we knew where all the outsiders were, but we missed a lot down there. How?
Most outsiders don't want to be found. Especially by the cog.
It's better we find them than the swarm.
Here we go. Shit. As expected, but... Shit.
I can't believe Lena and Norsko survived this.
Let's just look around and see if we can find any explosives.